Everyone, it's Misty here from TheJollyFatElf. Welcome back to another video. So before we get started, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched and left comments on my all the updates video. If you missed it, I will link it on the insert at the end of this video, but you can also just find it on my channel. It's literally all the updates. And for those of you who have said that you're interested in me going back to Stampin' Up, if you guys would go help by purchasing some cards, I would appreciate it. I got to come up with the money to get the starter kit. So a link down below will take you to my Facebook page where you can look at, it'll take you directly to the album. So all you have to do is comment me on whatever photo that you want, and then I will message you and we can either do PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Apple Pay, however you want to pay. But yeah, I appreciate it. So here I'm tracing the die. I honestly wasn't sure how to put these together. I've never really paid attention to these storybook dies from Stampin' Up. So I just went ahead and traced it, and I thought I'll just, paper piece it on this piece of paper. And that honestly worked out for me both times I did this. So, enjoyed it. You'll see me make this panda again later in the video, and I'm just going to show you how I pieced together one of them, and then we're going to move on. But I had issues keeping up with the black the black ears, so here I go. I lost it, but then I found it, but then I lost another one. So we're going to combat that by putting on a hat. So I'm stamping the party hats here, and then I'm going to stamp 2 sets of presents. I'm going to color them with my Copic markers like I've been doing in the other video. Excuse me, I apologize for my voice, but it's early Friday morning. I haven't been up for very long. I am sucking down some coffee, so hopefully by the time I get to this voiceover, my voice will be fresh. So these are the colors I'm going to be using, and I'm going to fast forward through this coloring really, really quick because, again, I'm not doing anything fancy. I really love these colors, and I basically just picked colors that matched the colors of the paper I chose. And like I said, I'm going to be paper piecing that. So I'm going to fast forward because you guys have seen me color before. And here I'm cutting around the panda, and I'm going to go ahead and add on his little party hat after I put on an ear. His ear fell off. So I took a piece of the pattern paper and cut it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm cutting out 1 letter from each of those pattern papers, and then I'm just going to glue it down with liquid glue. So there you see how that looks after it's finished. Then I'm going to cut down a piece of the blue cardstock that came in the kit to 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. I've scored it at 4 1/4. Then I'm going to go ahead and add an interior layer that measures 4 by 5 1/4. I do this a lot when I'm using darker cardstock. I just think it's easier for your recipient, or for whoever buys this card, it's easier for you guys to write a message on the inside. That way, if you don't have a gel pen, you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to add this with some liquid glue. I'm using liquid glue and snail interchangeably on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and add my pandas with dimensional adhesive. But like I said, one of them is going to get a party hat. And the other one, I cut off the little plume on top and made it a party blower. Is that what they're called? You know what I mean? Like the little panda, the illustrated panda has in the stamp set, a little blower for his mouth. So I thought this turned out really, really cute. I'm just using an archival pin to kind of extend, or then I brought in my Papermate to kind of extend the strings for the balloons. That way it looks like they're holding them more than them just kind of floating away. Some of this is off camera, and I apologize for that, but I'm literally having to bring it up to my face so I can see. 41-year-old eyes, people. 41-year-old eyes. Look at that. Isn't that so cute? Looks like a little party blower. I love it. Love it, love it, love, love, love it. And I used, when I used the flocking, I used glue dots. I just felt like it held better. So then I'm going to cut out all of the presents, and I'm going to glue them together to make little parcel packages, I guess. And I'm just using liquid glue again. So I put liquid glue on the smaller presents on the front of them so I could glue them to the back of the larger rectangular present. And initially I thought I was going to pop these up on the front, and then I decided I didn't like it, just made it kind of a little too crowded. So I went ahead and put all of the presents on the inside of the card. I went ahead and left those on dimensionals because you're not writing on the front, so it shouldn't be a huge issue. And of course, last but not least, I had to add a little bit of shimmer. So that's it for this card. I think it turned out really, really cute. Oh, I went ahead and brought in a gray marker because I felt like they needed to be grounded. So yeah, so that's the look at this card. I think it turned out so adorable. These pandas are so stinking cute. So for the next card, this is the one that took me forever, but I really I think this is my favorite card. So this is a scrap piece of Eclipse masking tape, and I am obsessed with it. So I took 3 of the balloons from the stamp set, and I'm going to make mask. Now you only see me cut out 1, but I ended up making 2 masks for each balloon. And then we're going to stamp a whole bouquet of balloons. A balloon bouquet. Mrs. Bouquet, the lady of the residence, right? So I'm just going to start, and then I'm going to, so that's the one I went in front. And then I'm going to stamp the ones behind after masking. So any ones that are touching the mask will be in the back. So like the star is going to be at the front, at the back, the top at the back. There's one at the bottom at the back. And then I'm going to just keep going until I have stamped all of the ones that I want. And I'm just moving, what are these called? Mask. What? Brain. My 7 a.m. brain doesn't want to work with me. So I'm just moving the mask over and just kind of stamping how I want to. So I'm just kind of counting, making sure that I have an odd number of balloons. And then I'm going to set those masks to the side so I can do some coloring. Now, I loved how this turned out. And I'm going to talk you through what I did. So I want these to be latex balloons. And when you have a soft color of latex balloons, when they are together, you can kind of see the balloon behind it. So these are the colors that I used. So what I did was I made sure that I added the color coming through the balloon in front of it. You'll see more in just a second when I do like this blue balloon that I'm about to do. So I made sure that the color went through all of the balloons that were in front of it. So here's one with a purple, and then you can see me add just a little hint of the star behind it. And what I love about this is that the star would be distorted anyway, so you don't have to be so precise on the points. So I really love this card. Like, this is probably one of my favorites. It was a little time consuming. Coloring always is, but I really love how it does look like the balloons are either in front or behind. And just because we added a little bit of color, here you can really see it with this purple, how I go through both balloons that are technically in front, but you would still be able to see most of it behind. And after I do all this initial coloring, I'm going to go back over every balloon with the lighter color and make sure that they're a bit more, they stand out a bit more. And then I decided that I wanted a cloudy background, and I went through my stencils thinking that I had a cloud background, but I don't have a cloud background. I stored my stencils in a 6x6 album from Simple Stories, and it came with some pages. So, excuse me, I used this cloud die from Hello Bluebird to cut out a piece of paper, and here I'm just testing to see if I like it. This is some Tumble Glass Distressed Oxide, and then a Tumble Glass, and then I just used the sponge. But you could see there a hint of what I'd done. I'd used Copic markers and I didn't like it, so I'm starting all over. So what I've done is I've just masked off the balloons on the edges, or the balloons that will make it oxide on them if if I were to leave them uncovered. So I'm just kind of moving the mask as I go down with my little handmade stencils. All I did was cut out a piece of cardstock, and this worked out great. I love how this looks. Like, this is my favorite card. This may be my favorite card I've made in a while, so I really, really love this one. It was a little time consuming, like I mentioned, with all the stamping and everything, but I really like how it turned out. Like, I really, really love it. And I love that I was able to kind of create my own stencil without much issue. So I'm going to bring in this pen from American Crafts. This is an archival ink pen, so it is Copic safe. Not that was necessary, but I wanted to just make sure I had all the strings. And then I went over it with a shimmer pen, and then I'm trying to decide on a sentiment here. I'm going to go ahead and go with the happy birthday. And I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus and a piece of basic black, not basic black. This is the black that came in the kit. But I'm going to stamp that and emboss it on this piece of black with some white embossing powder. And here I am again with this EK Success tool that I hate with the passion of 10,000 men. So I'm stamping that with Versamark ink. Excuse me. And then I'm going to heat this with my heat tool after I add the white embossing powder. Kind of flicking that off. Took it to the side, heated it, and then I used this rectangle die from Simon Says Stamp. I think this was their banner dies, and it had this rectangle. I really honestly could have cut it out with my paper trimmer, but I wanted to make sure that it was even, and I stamped it pretty crooked. What? Misty stamped something crooked? No way. So this is my inside card layer. I'm going to go ahead and stamp 3 of the balloons. So I'm putting the heart first, and then I'm putting each of the other hearts on the other side. So you saw me mask it. Sorry that it's kind of off screen. Sometimes I get in the zone and just don't realize it. And this was my 6th card of the day, right? 5th card of the day. And I filmed all of these in one day, so I was a little out of it by this point. But you can see here I'm doing the same thing I did on the front. I'm just bringing that other color through the one in the front, and then I'm going to adhere this using a liquid glue or snail. I'm not sure which one. Snail. And that's going to go on the inside. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this on the outside. And then I'm going to go ahead and wipe off whatever little solution. Then I had a little bit of white left over, so I just used the edge of my scissors. Could also use the sanding eraser from whoever created the sanding eraser. Tombow, I think. I don't remember. And here I'm trying to get the sentiment straight. And then just going back over those lines that I made to darken them up a little bit. And then I'm going to finish this off with some white gel pen to go over the highlights. And then you'll see me go through the balloons that are in the back and add their highlights too. So yeah, I really like, guys, I'm obsessed with this card. Obsessed. I love it. I didn't add the highlights on the inside of the card until after because I needed to make sure that it would dry. All right, last but not least, this is my favorite paper piece card that I've done. So I cut the piece of the pink that came in the kit. I think this is doll pink, to 4 1/4 by 11. And then I cut down the diagonal stripe paper that I have to 4 by 5 1/4, and then, or 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I cut down this blue. It's hard to see on camera, but it's actually a cloud background. And this is the one that came with either this Simply Spring or the Easter set. I can't remember which paper this is from. So here I'm using the flocking, and I'm just cutting out enough to go around him. And then I'm going to bring in the adhesive sheet that came in the kit, and I'm going to adhere my flocking down. Now, this is not double-sided adhesive. I don't know why I thought it was double-sided adhesive, but it's not double-sided adhesive. So if you wanted to be able to just stick these down after you do all your cutting and paper piecing, then put it on the Sizzix adhesive sheets or any kind of, score tape that, you can do double-sided. And then you can just easily peel it off, because I ended up using snail to do it, and I would much rather have just done the thing. So I'm only coloring a hat and a present. I'm doing pink and purple on the hat, and then green and yellow on the present. He's going to be wearing a hat. You see I left one of his ears off. I kept losing them. Even though I put them in a little pile so I wouldn't lose them, I kept losing them. And then I'm going to do, like I said, yellow and green on the present, and I'm going to cut these both out. He's going to be holding the present and wearing the party hat. Yay. I really, this is probably my second favorite card out of all of them. I really love how this one turned out. So I'm adhering this with snail. And then I'm going to adhere him down with snail as well. Like I said, I kept thinking it was a double-sided adhesive. And if you tell me it is and I couldn't figure it out, well, there you go. I had been card making for 6 hours, so there you go. So I'm going to take and cut out some more letters from what I stamped. I mean, I could have gotten 5 cards like this if I wanted to. And then I'm using the white gel pen to add the highlights. And then I'm going to bring in a coordinating Copic marker to just color in the middle. On the first card, I colored in the middle with white. And I thought this card, we would just make it the color. So I decided I wanted to stamp this little panda carrying the cake and the sentiment that I used on the very first card, which was from Wednesday, which was party like a panda because your birthday only comes once a year or something like that. I'm going to end up stamping this panda with an ink cube from, what's it called? Gina K Design. I don't remember what pink I used, but it's a pink. I thought I showed it to the camera, but I did not. But it's a darker pink, so it turned out really, really pretty. So cute. And then, like I said, I'm going to stamp the sentiment. This is why I love the Stamparatus, because if this was a Misty, which I had to begin with and I loved, but if I still had the Misty, I would literally have to take everything off, clean it, and this way I can stamp, because I have 2 plates. I can stamp a couple of times, and then when I'm very, very done, I can go through and clean it. Now, Gina K's designs are dye inks. So when you do something like that, just know that dye inks react with water, so you can easily smear your stamping. So I had a little bit, it looked like, but it wasn't enough to ride home, cry about. So here I decided I needed something more toward the bottom. So I decided to go ahead and stamp the birthday and put that at the bottom of the card to finish off the sentiment. So I'm going to be heat embossing this again with white heat embossing powder from Stampin' Up! Using the stupid EK Success tool. I hate it! Someone tell me how it works. I don't understand it. And then again with the white embossing powder, I'm going to heat it. This time I'm going to trim this out with my paper trimmer and then add some dimensional adhesive on the back. Did you guys see where Stampin' Up! Came up with black dimensionals? I'm excited. So that's it, guys. That's all 3 cards. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Like I said, these cards will be available for purchase if you're interested in helping me join Stampin' Up! Again. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I do have 2 videos for you this weekend, and then I'll see you again next week for some more cards. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.